Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Education USA's weekly showcase. My name is Karama Ajala. I'm an Education USA advisor. Today, we will be exploring Texas State University, and we are honored to have with us the special guest, Mr. Rahul Sampat, a representative from Texas State University, who will be guiding us through the incredible opportunities Texas State University has to offer. And Mr. Rahul will be speaking for 20 minutes and followed by 10 minutes Q&A session. Mr. Rahul, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, and welcome everyone. I'm very happy to do this session with all of you. So my name is Rahul Sampat, and I am the international recruiter for Texas State University. So I will get started with a presentation, and then like our colleague said from Education USA, I will open it up for any questions you all have. So let me just share my screen and then we'll get started. All right, so hopefully you all can see my screen, and I'm going to share the presentation. Okay, so before we get started talking about Texas State, I'm going to play a short video, and then I'll talk more about the university and about opportunities, as well as the admissions process and the application process as well.
Texas State University now has a new record for enrollment. There are more than 44,000 Bobcats enrolled for the fall semester. That's a 10% increase over last year's record. Texas State University is inviting 2020 graduates back to campus to celebrate their commencement.
The master plan will help the university facilitate that goal. New buildings, more parking, and enhanced connectivity.
1% of the cost of any construction project will be dedicated to public art.
Texas State reportedly set to leave the Sun Belt Conference and join the Pac-12. The league formally invited Texas State on June 27th.
This is a huge move for Texas State when it comes to money, exposure, athletic competition, and growing its overall national brand.
It's going to offer a lot of opportunities in terms of national branding.
Things are really shaping up nicely for Texas State.
Texas State has struck gold with going to the Pac-12.
The Pac-12 now has a school in the state of Texas, but it's not just any university, right?
If you dream big, you can be big.
All right, so hopefully that gave you a good intro to what the university is like, our location, our campus. So I'll talk a little bit more. We at Texas State, our main campus is in San Marcos, Texas, which is about 30 to 40 minutes south of Austin, Texas, and about an hour and a half north of San Antonio. So we're located between these two cities of Austin and San Antonio. That is our main campus. That's where we have about 70,000 people, and of those, about 44,000 are students. We do also have a satellite campus that is Round Rock that is much smaller, and that one has about a much smaller number of students. And just in comparison, it has about 5 buildings on campus compared to about 180 buildings on the San Marcos campus. So my presentation is mostly going to be focused on the San Marcos campus, but just wanted to let you know of the other campus that we have as well. In terms of San Marcos itself, it's a college town. Like I said, there's about 70,000 people in the city of San Marcos, of which 44,000 are students. The rest are faculty, staff, other folks that live in the town. We have more than 300 days of sunshine per year. We have 1,200 acres of natural areas for hiking and biking, and we have a river that runs through the campus that sits at a very pleasant 22 degrees year-round. You probably saw that in the photo. The river is great for swimming, picnicking, but also for research purposes for folks that are studying environmental science or sustainability, to take samples from the river to understand the impacts of climate change as well. And of course, like with any college town, there's lots of restaurants, cafes, areas where you can hang out, and there's lots of festivals as well. Round Rock campus, as I mentioned, is a much smaller campus. So we do have some majors that are available at the Round Rock campus. These are the majors listed there. Just to keep in mind that it is a smaller campus, so the availability of classes is more limited there as well. So again, I do recommend most of our international students to pursue studying at the San Marcos campus. It'll just be a lot easier. In terms of our university itself, we are a large public student-centered research university. We've been around for about 125 years. We have 2,000 international students. That number has increased quite a bit in the last couple of years. And our students come from about 93 different countries. And we have about 100 different majors on the undergrad side and about 110 master's and PhD programs. So lots of opportunity to pursue something that is of interest to you. We also have a bunch of ranked degree programs and everything from advertising to social work to business to engineering, etc. These are just some photos of campus. Again, you can see it's a very pretty campus, very green. You can see the river that runs through the campus as well. Our mascot is Boko. He's a bobcat. That's him in the top left corner of the screen. You can see him in showing up at sporting events, at student events. Our colors are maroon and gold. The young lady at the bottom right is holding up 2 different symbols. In her left hand is the symbol for the shape of the state of Texas, and in her right hand is the claw for the bobcat claw. And then we also have a fun tradition when students graduate, they can choose if they want to jump into our river in their cap and gown to celebrate the end of their academic journey. In terms of campus amenities, with being such a large campus, there's a lot of events constantly going on every single day of the week. We have over 450 different student clubs. We have 16 different NCAA sports teams, 30 plus club sports teams. We have 26 different dorms on campus, 3 different dining halls that offer all different types of food, from kosher to halal, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free options for all sorts of food preferences. And then we also have a student health center with doctors and nurses. And we have a student rec center with a full gym, as well as a climbing wall, as well as equipment that you can rent out for hiking and camping. Most of our students get around on campus by either walking or biking to their classes. However, there is a shuttle service that is available for all of our students that's completely free of charge, that operates during the day, but also importantly operates late into the night. So if you're out with friends and you don't want to walk back to your dorm, you can call them and they will pick you up where you are at and drop you off to your dorm. So it's a very safe way to get around, and those night rides operate from 8 p.m. to 3 in the morning. So lots of opportunities to get around campus as well. All first-year students are required to live on campus if you're an undergraduate student. The only exception to this is if you've graduated from high school more than a year ago, then you may get an exception to that. We do also have off-campus housing available that we can, connect you with resources if you are coming in as a graduate student or as an older student on the undergrad side as well. And then move-in dates, of course, are provided by the housing team. In terms of career support, we have a bunch of different resources that our students can use. We have a dedicated career support team that works with all of our students, domestic as well as international. They do everything from resume writing workshops, mock interview workshops. There's peer and mentor advising, and they even have a career closet you can borrow clothes from if you have an interview coming up. And then they do 15 plus in-person job fairs each year. So lots and lots of opportunities to engage with employers as well. On the left side of the screen there, you can see some of the companies where our students have started jobs at. Being so close to Austin, which is a rapidly developing city, Tesla just moved their headquarters there. And there's a lot of technology firms. It's kind of the Silicon Valley of Texas and the southern region of the US in general. There's a lot of companies that do come to recruit to campus as well. I'll talk a little bit about academics now, since we've talked about other aspects of your student journey. We have about 7 different academic colleges. So think of these colleges as the kind of umbrellas under which all the majors sit. So you have everything from College of Education, Fine Arts, Health Professions, Science and Engineering, Business, Liberal Arts, etc. And then within those colleges are all of our majors. So you can see all of our majors listed here. Anything with an asterisk is a STEM certified major. And so what that means is that if you're pursuing something with a STEM major, you will be able to work in the US for up to 3 years after you graduate. If you're pursuing a non-STEM major, you can work in the US for up to a year after you graduate. So this is an important distinction for those of you considering STEM majors, is that you do get an additional 2 years that you can work without needing a work visa. So it's a really nice benefit for those of you pursuing that STEM major. And like I mentioned, sorry, I'll just highlight here that we have it's actually over 100 bachelor's degree programs now and 110 master's and PhD programs. So pretty much anything you can think of, chances are we do have it. As an undergraduate student, there's lots of opportunities to also do a double major, to add in a minor. So there's lots of ways to customize the education for your purposes. I'll talk about the undergrad application process briefly, and then talk a little bit about grad as well. So on the undergraduate side, it's a pretty simple process. You submit your application via Apply Texas or Common App. These are application portals for those of you that are not familiar with them, and they allow you to apply to multiple schools at the same time. Once you've applied, your application will come through to our internal system, and then you will get a notification to pay the application fee, which is a $90 non-refundable application fee that must be paid by all international students. We don't waive it. And then you upload your documents. So in this case, it would be high school transcripts and any college transcripts if you have taken college level courses. We don't require any third-party evaluation, so we will evaluate the transcripts in-house. As long as your transcripts are in English, it won't be an issue. And then you'll need to send in official test scores. So typically, we require English language proficiency scores. So that's TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, etc. For students who are Nigerian citizens, that is not a requirement because that Nigeria is an exempt country for this purpose. In terms of SAT scores, you're welcome to send those, but we don't require it. We are a test optional institution. And so if you send in your SAT scores, they will be evaluated for scholarship purposes, but we don't need that. We will still evaluate you for scholarships, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then once everything is submitted, you can get a decision in 2 to 4 weeks from us. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. We do admit students on a rolling basis. From a transfer student standpoint, it's very similar to the freshman process. The only difference is that you will also need to submit your college transcripts in order to be evaluated. So just something to keep in mind. And then at the bottom right of the screen there, you can see what the minimum GPA requirements are depending on the number of transfer credit hours that you submit. Okay, so I'll talk next about, oops, sorry, my screen seems to be frozen. There we go. About the graduate application process. So on the graduate side, it's a little bit different from undergrad in that you will apply directly through our graduate school website, and you will pay the application fee on that website directly. Most of the application fees are, again, $90, and they're non-refundable, and we don't give waivers. You will then also submit copies of official international transcripts and degree certificates. The minimum GPA to apply is 2.75 out of a 4.0. Some departments may have higher GPA requirements. We will accept if classes have been repeated, but we will only accept one repeat. So if you've taken a class because you failed it the first time, we will ignore that first grade, take the new grade. But if you took it more than once, then we will start using the grades after that point. Again, we don't need third-party evaluations, and some programs may require the GRE or GMAT. And then each graduate program has different requirements in terms of additional documents. So typically it's things like resume, statement of purpose, maybe essay questions, maybe the GRE or GMAT. So you will need to check what the requirements are. Again, most of you, if you're coming from Nigeria, will be exempted from the English language requirement. We do have a small number of graduate transfer students that do apply every year, and we do accept them, but there are limits in terms of how many credits we will accept for master's or PhD programs. So you can see some more of the detail listed over here. And then these are the English language exempt countries. So as you can see, Nigeria is listed there. If there are folks here from other West African countries, you can see if your country is listed as well. For example, Ghana is listed as well here, but not all West African countries are exempt from the English language requirement. Okay, so I'll talk about immigration, then we'll talk about cost and scholarships. So on the immigration side, it's a pretty simple process. So you can choose to upload your bank statements and your passport documents right when you apply. If you do that, then we will automatically process your I-20 for you after you've been admitted, and you don't need to request it. The second option is that you can submit those documents after you've been admitted, or after you've received your scholarship, which is what a lot of students prefer, because then the I-20 can reflect your scholarship amounts as well on there. Excuse me. And then typically you would request the I-20, and it typically takes about 3 to 5 business days, so about a week before you receive your I-20. Okay, so let's talk about costs. So normally, as an international student, you would be considered non-resident. We are a state institution, we're a public institution, so we have resident and non-resident rates. So you can see the non-resident rates listed there for undergrad as well as grad. However, and this is important, if you get a $1,000 scholarship or more per year, you will be eligible to pay the resident rate. So let me repeat that. So if you get, let's say, a $4,000 scholarship on the undergrad side, your tuition drops from $24,500 a year, to, to $12,220 per year. And then the scholarship is deducted from this lower amount. So if you get a $4,000 scholarship, your tuition and fees as an undergrad will be $8,220 per year. And then the rest of the line items here are estimates. Same thing on the grad side. If you get $1,000 or more in scholarship per year, your tuition drops from 16.5 roughly to about 9,000 per year. And then your scholarship is deducted from that 9,000 amount. So I hope everyone understood that. Happy to answer questions about that as well. It's a really great benefit for our international students. I've worked in higher education for 15 plus years, and this is the first time I've ever heard of an institution that allows international students to pay the resident rate. So normally, as you can see, it's only for residents of the state of Texas, but this benefit is incredible. Okay, so then the question is, of course, how do you get a scholarship? So on the undergrad side, we have two different ways you can get a scholarship. One is through what is known as an academic scholarship. And within the academic scholarship, we will evaluate applications with SAT scores and without SAT scores. So what we do on the back end is we recalculate your GPA on a 4.0 scale. We convert that to a US equivalent 4.0 scale. We give it what is known as a class rank, which basically means that if your GPA is above 3.2 or higher, then you're typically eligible to start getting scholarships. You don't have to apply separately for academic scholarships. All students are automatically reviewed for academic scholarships. And then once your application is, once you've been admitted, then it takes about 3 weeks for the scholarships team to review the application, and then they award a scholarship if you're eligible. And scholarships are guaranteed for 4 years as long as you maintain a minimum GPA throughout that time. So it's a really nice benefit. So let's say, for instance, you get a full scholarship, which is $12,000 a year. Going back to this chart, as an undergrad student, if you get a $12,000 scholarship, your tuition drops to the resident rate and you get $12,000. That's basically a full scholarship. So it's a really nice benefit. About 70 to 75% of our international students do get some type of scholarship. So most of our international students are paying that resident rate. For transfer students, we have separate scholarships and they range from $2,000 to $8,000 over the 2 years. And then we also have what are known as competitive scholarships. So these are via our BOSS portal, and these you have to apply for separately. So if you get a competitive scholarship, you can stack it on top of the academic scholarship. So you can get kind of both of those scholarships combined. On the graduate side, there are fellowships that are offered by the graduate college. Again, those are based on the strength of your application, and they will award those about 3 weeks after you've been admitted. The Good Neighbor scholarships don't apply to this particular session. They're more for citizens of Central and South America. And then you can also, as a graduate student, apply for competitive scholarships. And for those of you that are interested in graduate assistantships, research assistantships, teaching assistantships, those would be based on the department. So you would have to check with the program advisor for your particular program. All right, so I know I rushed through a lot of information. So this is my contact info. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email me directly. You can also WhatsApp me at that number. And I will turn over to my colleagues at Education USA for any Q&A and questions that folks might have. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. It was a very exciting session. Thank you. We're still waiting on questions here, but there is a question. Realize that you didn't mention any online or hybrid program. I wouldn't know because online it was written there, was stated online and hybrid. I don't know if you skipped it or you just thought not to. And if there is, or if there are, could you please expound on how they work? How they work for international, specifically for international students?
Yeah, thank you for that question, a very important one. Sorry, I didn't touch on that too much. We definitely do have online programs. Hybrid programs, international students would not be eligible for because most of them have an in-person component. And there are restrictions when you're coming to the US on an F1 visa about how many classes you can take online. So typically, if you are coming in person, you can only take, I believe it's 1 class per semester online as an international student to maintain your F1 visa status. However, we do have fully online programs available, and those are separate from our regular programs in person because those programs we don't have every single major, for instance, available online. And so I'm happy to provide a link, or if you also like just Google Texas State online programs, you'll be able to see a page that has all of our online programs, as well as the requirements for those. And then it does typically have a separate application process. So you apply directly to the online programs. But yes, thank you for asking that. We definitely do have online programs. So that is an option available for students as well.
Thank you, Rahul. We'll go through it and you could still provide the link to that. Actually, there is a question. One of the participants asked you to display the contact again.
Oh, sure.
Another
Yeah.
question is there as you're trying to write your contact now. Question from live stream. Okay. How flexible is it to change majors after enrollment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've just put my last screen up here so you can see my contact info. So in terms of changing majors, it is very flexible to change majors. Obviously, it depends on when you're doing that as an undergrad. If you wait till your, junior or senior year to try to change your major, you may have to take additional classes and may extend out your academic journey. If you do it in your first or second year, it's usually not as much of an issue. And we do assign every single student to an academic advisor. So that will be your point person for your academic journey, and they will be able to advise you on what classes you need to take in order to complete within 4 years. If you're changing to a completely different major later in your academic journey, they might say, hey, by the way, this might take an extra semester, or it might take an extra year to finish your undergraduate degree. But it is available. There has been some talk that the federal government may restrict students from changing majors, international students from changing majors in the first year. So whatever I-20 you're issued is the major you need to stick with for your first year. And then after that point, you're able to change majors. I think that's just to prevent a lot of people shuffling around and a lot of new I-20s being issued, things like that. Because your major is very important, as you all might know, because that dictates where you can work. Because your job, when you apply for internships, full-time jobs, they have to be related to the major that is specified on your I-20. Good question, though.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. There is another question here. How can one get the scholarship?
Yes.
How can one...
Yeah, so for academic scholarships, like I said, you don't have to be reviewed, or you don't have to apply separately. You will be automatically reviewed. So all students are automatically reviewed for academic scholarships on both the undergrad as well as graduate side. And then for the competitive scholarships, whether you're undergrad or grad, you do have to apply separately through the BOSS portal. And that information is emailed to you after you've submitted your application as well, in terms of where to apply. And those competitive scholarships are basically like endowed scholarships. So it's a wealthy individual or foundation who has said, I want to sponsor someone who's pursuing a bachelor's in nursing or civil engineering, or I'm just making up things. So, so you can go through the list, see which ones apply to you, and then apply for those separately.
Very well. We're explanatory. There is another question. Are there opportunities for undergraduate research?
Yes, great question. So we definitely do have a lot of opportunities for research, both on the undergrad as well as grad side. The biggest thing there is that I would advise students to start networking early. So start connecting with professors, talk to your academic advisor around, hey, I'm interested in doing X type of project. What faculty members would you suggest I connect with? Academic advisors have specialties. So based on your major, you'll be assigned an academic advisor. So they know a lot of the professors and the classes in those majors. But yeah, definitely opportunities. If you're already coming with some expertise, or you've done some research in your high school time period already, you can definitely bring those in as well. Oh, and one more thing, sorry, I forgot to mention this, which is that international students can work up to 20 hours a week on campus. So you are allowed to work up to 20 hours a week. And some students are able to find jobs working with faculty, doing research as part of that 20-hour-a-week timeline. It's more common on the graduate side than undergrad, but I will say for students who are motivated, there are opportunities to do research on the undergrad side as well.
All right, thank you very much. There is a question here. We don't have much time, but I'll just run through that.
Yeah.
Good information. Please, as a graduate applicant, must I have a supervisor before applying?
Must you have a supervisor before applying?
Before applying.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that means that like a faculty supervisor. Yeah, so you don't
You just
need
said it's a graduate student, yeah.
Yeah. So as a graduate student, you don't need to have a faculty supervisor if that's what they meant. You just submit the application. Obviously, you will have an advisor that you will work with closely once you're in the program. but you don't need to have a faculty supervisor beforehand.
All right, thank you. There is a long question here I'm going to be reading through. How do you navigate a situation where you did not have an extensive information on what you want to study in graduate school due to the absence of some occurrence in your home country? For example, I'm interested in earthquake engineering for master's or PhD, but in Nigeria, right? Nigeria is not earthquake pro. So that area is that area as good as null? Does my lack of experience in such affect my chances one? Secondly, what is the authenticity of Coursera and Udemy to try and balance the deficit? Are those learning bodies rated by the school admission body?
Yeah, good question. So, this often comes up with what major should I pursue or what program should I pursue? So I would say, these information sessions are a great way to understand what universities offer. Doing some research on your end is always good. While I don't encourage the use of ChatGPT for writing your essays and things like that, this is a perfect example of where you can use ChatGPT to start narrowing it down, right? So if you want to study earthquake science or something like that, you can put that in, see what universities in the US or other parts of the world, if you're looking at other parts, offer that particular major, and then start looking at those individual universities. So that's a good way to start narrowing it down. The other question around Coursera, Udemy, yes, you can definitely take those classes. Whether or not they'll be considered as like official credit-bearing classes depends on the type of classes you take. Both of those systems do have credit-bearing courses now as well, but they may not be free, so you may have to pay for those to get that certificate. And then, of course, it depends on the university as well. So some universities are perfectly fine with accepting those credits. Other universities might say we'll only take a certain number of those credits. So it just depends from program to program. At the graduate level, everything typically is program sensitive. So the faculty for that program are the ones who make the rules around what is accepted and what is not.
If I do have a master's program, how long can I stay after graduation?
Yeah, so again,
if I do a master's program.
Yeah, it depends on your major. So if it's a STEM certified program, you can be in the US for up to 3 years after you graduate, assuming you have not used some of that OPT already on the undergrad side. If it is a non-STEM major, then it's typically up to 1 year after you graduate to work in the US without needing a work visa.
Very well. Does the visa ban affect someone who gets admission into your institution?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the visa ban currently, as it stands, is not applicable to F1 visas, so to student visas. There's a travel issue going on. There's some immigration-related visas that are affected, but in terms of F1 visas, they're not affected. So that's an important question, and I'm sure you have more detail on that as well on the Education USA side. So definitely work with our colleagues on the Education USA side, because they're very knowledgeable about all of these restrictions as well.
Yes, thank you, Rahul. This is the last bit, and it goes thus. I presently have an high school senior in a French school. Do you take French curriculum from high school students? Also, he also wants to write SAT.
Yeah, so we accept school grades from all sorts of different curriculums, including IB, Cambridge, French schools, German schools. We get all sorts of different schools that students go to. So we don't have an issue with that. And if you want to take the SAT, you're more than welcome to. As I mentioned in the presentation, if you take the SAT, we will review your GPA plus your SAT scores in order to determine your scholarships. If you don't take the SAT, it's not required. If you don't take it, then we will only review your GPA in order to, award scholarships on our end.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. I believe we don't have any other question at the moment, so we'll be calling it a day. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation and for expounding on the necessary information the students had to have been expecting to get response on. So yes, thank you so much. And we'll be wrapping up. Thank you. If you have any information you need to drop in the chat box before we go off, please do. So I believe they must have your information now. So if there are any piece of information you would like to ask Mr. Rahul, kindly use the information he sent to you already. I put it's stated on the slide deck. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. Thank you. And have a very
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.